Hello, Hero Collectors here. How's it going, everybody? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. I know I am, and today we're going to be cracking open these three Transformers Deluxe figures. We've got Age of the Primes, Alchemist Prime, Studio Series Scavenger, part of Devastator, and then Age of the Primes, Combaticon Vortex, part of Bruticus. So I got these all around the same time from various places, pre-order, order, in-store, all those kinds of things, and I just figured, let's combine them all in one video. Check them out. I will just do a speed run through the actual opening process, but then we'll check out the figures and compare them, and I will actually put Scavenger as part of Devastator. I don't know if I'll do the full thing, but as of right now, all I'm missing is Mixmaster. So without further ado, I'm going to crack these open in a speed montage. Alright, and here are the three Deluxes unboxed. Looking pretty sweet, not gonna lie. I'm liking all three for different reasons so far. He seems to be the most fiddly just because of the arm kibble, but I'm given to understand we could potentially remove that, so I might mess with him in a second. Let's actually put these two aside just for a moment so I can look at Alchemist Prime, who's giving me Bulkhead vibes just because of the color scheme and the build. But no, he's looking pretty good. The accessories are with the lenses, and he's got this little logo there. So yeah, he's looking pretty fun. I like the kind of dull, not dull, but just like subtle gunmetal that's kind of throughout on top of the black and kind of dark green. Looking pretty good. Not a lot of kibble to him, but still not bad. So I think I'll transform all three together. Actually, yeah, I think that's a better look at him. Sorry, I really like that face sculpt. It's very distinguished. Maybe a little too human for my Transformers liking, but not terrible. Doesn't, turn me off of the figure. But okay, let's set him off to the side. And then let's take a look at Scavenger here, who, upon first glance, I thought the legs were complete reuse from Bone Crusher, but there have been some modifications, but the basic engineering is the same. He's very wide-shouldered and then tapers down kind of build. It gives him, along with the face, a real kind of personality to the figure. I like that. He looks pretty sick. So looking around, he's got his bucket or his scooper, so he can always use that. Well, still in this mode, so it's pretty cool, and it's hinged there. I like that is a feature for this guy. Hook is kind of lacking in that department. His hook doesn't extend nearly as well as I'd hoped, but this guy, I like that you can use his little scooper. Now, let's get him stood up. I'm going to bring in the rest of the Constructicons that I have. So we have Long Haul, Scrapper, Bone Crusher, and Hook. 5 of the 6 Constructicons now assembled, just waiting on Mixmaster, who I do have pre-ordered, so hopefully he will be here sooner rather than later. Now, I'm going to pause the video, and then I am going to assemble these guys into Devastator, and then we'll take a closer look at Vortex, and then we'll transform them all into their alt modes. So let's do that now. Alright, here is Scavenger added to Devastator. Looking pretty sick so far. I just need Mixmaster, especially since he's going to be the more stable foot. I really don't like how unstable the bucket is for the foot on Scrapper here, but man, this guy's coming along pretty great. Let's just bring in Vortex so you can see just how big he is. I've really grown to enjoy this size. I remember when I first started to assemble him when I did the hook and long haul, I was like surprised by how small it was. I guess my expectations were not really reasonable, I guess. But no, it's looking very good, and I'm very satisfied with how he's coming along. Just one last piece. I do have Mixmaster pre-ordered. So, yeah, it's only a matter of time. Okay, before we move on to Vortex, I completely spaced on bringing in the other primes. I meant to, but to compare with Alchemist. So here we have Megatronus and Prima. Oop, his sword needs to go down. And stand, Prima. Stand properly. There, Prima. And then we have Solus Prime. So, varying degrees and sizes. I do like the Alchemist is a little bit smaller so that he can be with Solus a bit more. I know we have my Cronus Prime, who will be on the smaller side and kind of fit in with this, but she was seeming, if you take Alchemist away, having these two be the other two primes, she is rather small, but bringing him back in, I think that is evening it out, and once we get more primes, I know I'm getting Nova Prime, so he will kind of be in the larger scale with Megatronus here, and then you've got like Onyx, who's going to be larger. So then I think I've convinced myself on Onyx, and there's a few others that I do plan to get that'll probably be kind of Prima size. So far so good. I'm liking how this group is forming. Okay, now taking a look at Vortex, when he was first announced, aside from the fact that he was a Combaticon, the thing that interested me is that he reminds me of Blackout from the original Transformers movie. So that's something I've kind of wanted to do with my Decepticons. I already did it with my Autobots, but at least have the original 2007 Decepticons assembled, but in G1 style. So I now have Bone Crusher. This will be my stand-in for Blackout. And then I've got the new Megatron. I've got a Starscream, but I'll probably end up getting when they do a re-release on the new body mold that they have Thundercracker on. And then they've announced Brawl. The only one that I need to really figure out is, do I get the Siege barricade or wait until they do a different barricade? I think I'm more likely to backtrack on Siege. Anywho, that was a ramble. So I guess it would just be kind of... it looks like that can pop out there. I just don't want to break anything. Or maybe pop out at the elbow? Okay, yeah. If I go gentle at the elbow, it'll pop out there. Or the actual arm itself, not the kibble. So, just kind of... Oh, that one came out there. Okay. Well, that'll work to at least reduce the kibble for posing and taking pictures. I don't know if these are supposed to be... Okay, they must be supposed to be turned down. But so far, I'm enjoying them. I need to find something thin, because it looks like he should be able to pop apart like one of the aerial bots, because I think that's how he goes, yeah, onto his combiner the same way. So that's cool. Okay, so now after kind of looking at Vortex and rambling for a bit, I'm gonna actually transform these guys now. Okay, here they all are in their alt modes. Now, a couple little problems I was having. I couldn't quite get this super connected here in the middle. Like, it still has that gap. Also, his hands don't like to lock in on the wrist. They just, like, bounce back. So that's a little strange. And then my copy of Scavenger, the kind of connection point of the cab of the vehicle doesn't want to slide into that slot properly, and I can't really finagle it in there, so that whole side just doesn't want to lock in. But I didn't have any problem with Vortex, really. But they're still pretty awesome. I like the way that Vortex comes together. It's a little gappy here, but otherwise, he's supposed to split right here, so I understand. Let's see if I can just... Okay, those aren't wanting to stay when I do that, but... Yeah, let's just put it back before I break anything. But yeah, I really like how this came together. It looks like a proper helicopter. This being said by somebody who has never really seen a helicopter in person, but this Scavenger scooper truck, I actually don't know the full name of this or the proper name. It's not bad. That aside, I think it comes together pretty well. I really like the actual scoop. It's got the proper mechanics. Like, if you were to buy this for a kid, they could actually use it to scoop up the dirt. It'd be kind of fun. I would imagine it would be fun for a kid, I should say. And this is a pretty cool alt mode. I don't know if it was intended for Alchemist. I think a lot of speculation online is saying that this might be used for animated Ratchet as a base, so I could see that. And it's just kind of quirky in the way that it goes together here in those hands. But otherwise, I don't hate any of these, really. I don't often display, characters in their alt modes, but I don't think these are the worst alt modes around. They're actually pretty decent. So let me get them back into their bot modes, and we'll close out this video. Alright, here they all are back in their bot modes, and a pretty decent set of Deluxes in my opinion. I think the two that I was always guaranteed to get were Vortex and Scavenger. Alchemist I was still, kind of iffy on. I had sold myself on him, but, he was the one that I was probably the least interested in. But, okay, so ranking them, I think Vortex is probably my favorite, with Alchemist then taking second, and then Scavenger taking third. None of these are, like, bad. Scavenger's not, like, bad. That's why he's third. It's, I think, the more enjoyable transformation. These two are more satisfying. They kind of form together. His is a bit more fiddly and complicated. Not complicated, but just, like, it's not as fluid as the connections that you kind of do with these other two. But the bot modes are good, minus the kibble here. Otherwise, I don't have any serious complaints with the bot modes on the other two. But yeah, I will do proper reviews for all of them. I'm not sure how I'm going to pair them. I'm pretty sure Alchemist I'll pair with Soulless, because I haven't reviewed her yet. I might wait until I get Mixmaster, or maybe I'll just review these two together. We'll see later on. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this video here. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you all in another video, another post, another time.